The distance from my old office of Director of Services to the new office of the CEO was just 5 paces away. But it felt like a dark ocean existed between me and the office behind the glass window. And looming large in the window was a big black chair, sitting there waiting for its new owner, expectant. And I couldn't get it out of my head that it looked like an executioner's chair. I didn't want to sit in it, and I didn't have a boat to get me across the ocean. I was being offered the chance to lead the national charity Missing People, a charity that I love and was really close to my heart. And with 10 years' experience as a Samaritan, with an Open University degree, with years of leading the national services of missing people and working on myself as a lifelong self-improvement project, I quietly turned it down. And why? Well, it was too soon. I told myself it was too soon. I decided it was too soon. Those sort of opportunities don't come across very often, and they're very hard to confront and imagine being in that situation. You might have thought that I would have learned the opportunities about seizing those big moments. I was a piano player in a band, writing songs in a music class in Hull with Cheryl, the singer, the edgy one who pushed like mad for us to record our first song. I, of course, wanted to wait. I wanted to write a better song. I wanted to perfect the song. But we went and we recorded it anyway. And then we moved to London. And with a small bunch of songs written, we dared ourselves to make appointments with senior people in record companies and publishing companies. And then we dragged the piano keyboard, and it was big, halfway across London on the tube. We plugged it in offices, and we nervously played our hearts out. And one day, someone took a chance on us. And then we wrote a hit song, an authentic from-the-heart song that soared and roared. We recorded 2 albums. We did 2 major tours. We played Hull City Hall gig in my hometown, Wembley, Top of the Pops. And in case you thought I'd learned about not waiting for the perfect moment, well, I hadn't. Because there in my mind all along was the thought that one day I'd be found out. How many opportunities, big and small, do we fly away from? How many times could we open a door and with no one there to push us, we just quietly close it in front of us? We give way to people we think are the great and the good. And sometimes we give way to people who aren't so great and aren't so good. We give way to people who bound along with a belief in their own ability that takes your breath away. They stand tall. They cast a long and impressive shadow. And some of us just stand in it. We could wait a long time for the perfect day to come along. We can wait until we're old enough and wise enough, bold enough and good enough. We can wait for a whoosh of self-confidence that will banish every self-doubt we ever had. Or we can stand there and take our place in the queue and just never quite get to the front. You know, my granddad missed a moment, and that missed moment lasted a lifetime. He was an unlikely scholar. He was born in a slum in Sheffield, and he went to school with no shoes. And he left school when he was 14, and he became a kind of ship's engineer. I can imagine him now, sitting there in his tiny front bedroom of his council house on the Shire Green estate, surrounded by a library of books. He taught Bible classes, and he began reading to understand. He learned economics by post, and he had grand ideas of pensions for factory workers. Imagine that. And one day, he was offered the opportunity to go to Ruskin College, Oxford University, for he was someone who could speak. He was someone with ideas, sponsored by his trade union, a future MP perhaps. And there he was, tucked up in social, economic and aspirational deprivation, and it was just that world that needed him. And he turned it down. Not enough money, not to work, to study, and not enough self-belief to go. And really, that was it. Perhaps he thought his time was to come. With kids all grown up, with more money, with more confidence, that he would get his second chance, that there would be a knock at the door, and it wouldn't be Harry from next door in his vest asking to borrow a cup of sugar. It would be his chance to change the world for the better. But the second knock at the door never came. I always felt sad at his papers, his unread words, his lost words, his ideas unheard. And I think he had insight too. I think he knew that starting at the bottom of the ladder meant that he never took his equal share in the world. Me and my granddad used to write to each other. And in one of his letters to me, he said, "My dearest Joanne, one of my biggest regrets in life is that I didn't have a good standard of education. For a good education opens doors and gives you self-confidence." And he said he was really thrilled because somebody had described him as a good scholar and that it made him feel 6 feet tall, which, given he was about 5'2" and a peanut, really is saying something. Where does the confidence come from? How do some people find a voice and a platform and a set of ladders to get them there? When only 7% of the population is privately educated, then why are over 50% of print journalists privately educated, and 30% of MPs and 50% of the cabinet? It's like there's a confidence secret. People emboldened by a life that keeps on giving, where doors keep on opening and they keep on expecting themselves to jolly well walk on through. But it's not all about the big career and the big stage either. I will always remember being at a family funeral. And there we were at the wake, eating egg sandwiches and sausage rolls that nobody fancied. And we were waiting. We were waiting for someone to say a few words, to say, "We're really sad that she's died because we really loved her. And she would have been so chuffed that you were all here today, so let's raise a pint to her life." But nobody did. And it's always stayed with me. Unspoken words, unconfidence, and a missed moment to mark a life. I guess there's somebody here in the audience today with an ambition. I bet there's someone here with a deeply held belief that you've never shared with anybody. I bet there's someone here with a small idea to change the world for the better. I bet there's someone here with a solution to a problem you'd love to solve, a speech all written in your head that you would love to make, a job you'd like to do, a song you'd like to sing, something you want to say. And you know, we need thinkers of all styles, of all kinds, and of all backgrounds, of all voices, loud and small. We need leaders and philosophers. We need believers and dreamers. We need hopers and carers and writers and talkers and singers and creators and someone who will say a special word or two on a special day. You know, I'm one of those people who could spend a lifetime preparing for a life to come, waiting for a second knock at the door. Well, I did get a second chance. I was asked to cover the CEO role for a few months. So I bought a new jacket, a new pair of shiny shoes, and I went for it. And though the challenges were tough, I put in the graft, and I burnt the midnight oil, and I rose to the moment. And all along, I had a very valuable thing. I had a get-out-of-jail-free card. I had a way out if it didn't work out. And when prospective candidates for the role weren't up to the mark, and I was given the opportunity for the second time, well, this time I said yes. For I had proved to myself that I could live up to the expectations of myself, of the role, and lead and be part of a charity to be proud of. So in my strongest northern voice, I dared myself to open the door to the office behind the glass window. And I looked around and I spotted some new chairs that were more me. So I tried to find someone to ask for permission. And with the wind whistling round my ears, I realised I didn't have to ask. The decision could be mine, lonely and strangely liberating. And from where I'm standing, I've stumbled on a secret. That some people don't wait for the perfect moment. Some people don't wait until they've written a better song. Some people don't wait for all of their learning and skills and passion and brilliance to come together on one glorious day. For the people who speak up and speak out, who take their seat at the table, who talk and share opinion and fill the airspace and steal the limelight and capture our imaginations, well, they're not really ready either. Doubting their ability and strength and nerve, leaning on the people around them, quietly putting in hours of practicing and learning, hanging on by their fingertips, and sometimes feeling oceans of space between them and the big moment. So we can dare ourselves to just dare ourselves. We can give ourselves a get-out-of-jail-free card. We can take our equal share in the world and remember that the world needs an equal share of us too. And at Missing People, we have a value. It's written on the walls and it's written in our hearts to let fly. So dare yourself. If you hear a knock at the door, we'll open it and let fly. Thank you.